This is Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged. Unplugged, the podcast where all the artists go to tell it as it is. Careers, music, tours, and more. And here's your host, the man that refuses to eat squid, Pat Calamari.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged podcast. Keeping your music alive is what I do on the radio and on video. And I hope everyone is safe and well. Now, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share with all your friends, especially on my YouTube channel. Now, today's episode, number 183, is a little bit different because once in a while I love to promote upcoming shows in my area here in the tri-state of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And especially shows with artists that have released, of course, a new album, a new video. So, of course, when I saw the Amazing Joe Satriani coming to the area, I'm like, oh yeah, we need to support Joe Satriani. I mean, the best of the best. Have you ever seen Joe Satriani live? If not, you have no idea what you are missing. I got to see Joe a few years back at the G3 tour in Albany, New York, with John Petrucci of Dream Theater, along with Phil Cullen of Def Leppard. And oh my goodness, they blew the roof off the Palace Theater. So fast forward, Joe has released his, 19th studio album in April of this year called The Elephants of Mars. I mean, how crazy is that? And I gotta say, the soundtrack is incredible, as you would expect from Joe Satriani. And the videos are insane. And the video done by his son, ZZ, who's a filmmaker and movie director, producer. So, yeah, he gets to work with his son, and his son, man, did a wonderful job on these videos. So, yes, the album, The Elephants of Mars. I mean, come on, only Joe Satriani, Sci-Fi Joe, and working with his son and, of course, his great band. So, yeah, I had a chat with Joe on Halloween Day. He was traveling. He's heading over to Ridgefield Playhouse in Connecticut, which is not too far away from me this week. So I had a nice phone chat with Joe from his hotel room. And, 15 minutes, 20 minutes with Joe Satriani on the phone is worth all of it. Let me tell you now, of course, I love to ask more questions, especially guitar questions, but you only have so much time. And obviously the goal and objective is to sell out the show. And not only is he just doing a show, you can purchase a ticket for a VIP question and answer session with Joe. Now, what an outstanding opportunity with that. So, yeah, so you can buy a ticket for the VIP pre-show, and then obviously you can buy a ticket for the show. And now these shows are selling out left and right. I mean, Joe Satriani's worth the price of admission and then some. I mean, the best of the best. So, yeah, this is not a Zoom. This is a phoner, as we say in the industry. And I had a blast, and I think Joe had a blast as well. So, check him out, Satriani.com. Check out other dates of his Earth tour. And if he's coming to your neck of the woods, man, you don't want to miss this show. And buy the album. Oh, my God. The artwork. I mean, the cover, the logo, the pictures, everything is just impeccable. Definitely worth all of it. And, of course, it's all about the music. And, is there anybody that can, do an instrumental and you think you would know the song? You know the words, which really has no words, because he just has a way of putting together a riff and a groove and a sound that you can almost visualize mentally in your head that these tracks have lyrics, which they really do, only just musically. Is there anyone better? So yeah, So once in a while I do these promote the show. Why not? If I can get the artist on the phone, let's do it. And I was blessed to have the opportunity. So Joe Satriani on the phone with me. Pretty cool stuff. So as always, support Joe, support me, live, love, and laugh a lot, because life is way too short. What a Halloween treat this was.
Hey, this is Joe Satriani, and you're listening to Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged.
Hey, welcome to Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged podcast in conjunction with WBXO Classic Rock Radio Redefined. Well, to all you trick-or-treaters out there, I got the best treat in a long time to offer, and I've been talking about it all day long. Such an honor to have on our rock and roll phone, well, one of the greatest, if not the greatest mastermind rock guitarist around. He's been doing this for, oh my God, close to probably 4 decades, has sold over 10 million records worldwide, and probably more coming up now, and has been nominated for an incredible 15 Grammy Awards. I mean, you get the picture. He is the real deal. He is Mr. Joe Satriani. Hey, Joe, how are you, sir?
Oh, very good, and very happy to talk to you today. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Thanks for your time, Joe. I know you're on the road, and you'll be heading over to Connecticut in a day or two. Joe is currently on his 2022 Earth Tour, and he's performing now 1 but 2 shows this week, Wednesday, Thursday, at the Ridgefield Playhouse. So get your tickets today, and there's also a VIP Q&A that we'll talk about. So go to ridgefieldplayhouse.org or call 203-438-5795. Joe, how's the tour going so far?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it's just the rush of emotion to get back on stage again after so many years is so overwhelming, and it's great to play all this new material. We have 2 albums worth of stuff that we never played before in front of audiences, so that always makes it really exciting for the band.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And congratulations on The Elephants of Mars that was released in April. I mean, this album, it's probably not my favorite. It stomps the craters of that red planet. I mean, tell me about the sci-fi, out-of-the-world Joe Satriani crazy concept of The Elephants of Mars.
You know, it popped into my head, this idea that in the future Mars got turned into a garden planet. Like that's something that was part of one of those Star Trek episodes or one of the movies, where they take a planet and they seed it with special Earth-type DNA, and it turns it into a beautiful place that can sustain life. But of course, I thought, well, I bet at some point when it gets colonized that the evil corporations of Earth will start to mine it and take all its resources. And so I thought, well, we need like a hero somehow, and we need something really unusual to help the hero achieve independence for this new beautiful garden planet of Mars, And so I thought, oh, I get it. This is what happens. The scientists unknowingly, when they transform the planet, they create a race of sentient, gigantic elephants, and they're not aware that they have. It's been like an offshoot of all their terraforming. And they get together with this rock guitar playing revolutionary who wants to lead the independent revolution for Mars, and they decide, and they succeed, to wrestle control of the planet and keep it a pristine new planet in the solar system. And believe it or not, this sort of popped into my head in 30 seconds. I called my writing partner at Satch Tunes, Ned Evett, and I said, I got this great idea, not only for a sci-fi story, but for an album, and I think I've got the song that's going to sort of crystallize the whole thing. So that's kind of normal for me that would happen in the middle of the day. Just the way I think,
Unbelievable. Well, I gotta say I love it, and the more I play it, the more I fall in love with it. I think my favorite right now is Sahara, but that's maybe just for today. The artwork, Joe, the album is killer. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, we worked again with Todd Galapo and his company Meat and Potatoes. We've done, I don't know how many album covers now, 4 or 5. And I met Todd at the very first Chickenfoot album production meetings when we were trying to come up with a logo and the album design and everything. And Todd is just a really great hands-on artist and great. It has a great eye for design and making sure that you can get an idea as crystallized and simple as possible, yet it can be any size, and it can be a teeny little icon on your phone, or it can be a painting on the side of a building, and it still translates. So when he came up with the idea of using guitar body parts as elephant parts, I just couldn't believe it. It's just like, that is so genius.
and I love the colors. I mean, when you think of Mars, you think of a red planet, and yeah. I mean, it is incredible. I mean, if folks you need to go out and buy it today. The vinyl's great, the pictures are great, the inside cover is great. I mean, and somebody said that you had is it true that you have the logo in like your guitar knobs in one of your guitars?
Yeah, there's a company called the Knobbery One, and I stumbled upon them by accident while looking for guitar parts. And this guy named Matt Savers, a great ceramic artist, makes any kind of guitar knob you want with any kind of art, and they're beautifully done. Really strong functional knobs for guitar volumes and tone controls. And so he's made them for me. Of course, my friend Nicholas Del Drago has airbrushed a guitar for me with the album cover on it. And he's also done the Crystal Planet comic book series. He's done 3 guitars for me. So yeah, I like having a lot of art around. I mean, that's part of my life is, painting and drawing. And so I like to hang around with other artists that have, a different way of representing creativity through their artwork, So, and Matt's one of them. It's just that they're really small.
Yeah, somebody told me, he said, if you're going to talk to Joe, you got to ask him about the knobs. I'm like, okay, not a problem. Well, you got to be in 7th heaven, man. You're working with your amazing talents of your son, ZZ. The videos are insane. I mean, he's following Dad's creative-minded footsteps. How he come up with the video of the elephants of Mars is beyond me. I mean, it brought me back to playing like old video games. I'm like, and I'm a lot older than he is. I'm like, man. It's really interesting when you get to work with other people that come from just a whole different place, and they listen to your song, and they just come up with an entirely different angle. And when he listened to the song the very first time, it was the first thing he thought of. And he said, I got this crazy idea, and I hope you're up for it. It's going to look really insane, like old 16-bit video games. But boy, we had so much fun shooting that video, and the talent that he brought in really helped bring the whole story alive. And that's really, I think, a hallmark of what he does is he always creates a really great story, and his editing to music is really impeccable. I mean, everything always fits. It doesn't look disjointed or like something like it's not relating to the music. Gotcha.
He's able to pull it together, and we've done a lot of videos. He did the 1980 video, which was so different. Me just with all those Marshalls in that room, and of course Sahara was really dreamlike, and that was all about being lost, but also traveling in outer space for a very long time and wondering if you were going to get to your planet if you arrive at the right orb in the middle of nowhere. Really creative way of looking at things. And so I'm not surprised because, we started taking him on tour when he was 4 years old. So he's been hanging out with us and in this lifestyle for so long that it's second nature for him now.
Excellent. I mean, look, there's nothing. I know I volunteered to coach my daughter's softball team, my son's hockey team. There's something about being able to, work and have fun with your kids and being part of it, part of their growing up. So, yeah. I mean, that is so cool. I gotta say, as I mentioned earlier, I got the pleasure to meet with you at your G3 tour up in Albany, New York, a few years back with the incredible John Petrucci and Phil Cullen of Def Leppard, and I got to hang out with Phil maybe I don't know, 6 months or so after the tour, and I said, "What was the most fun you had?" And he goes, "The best part of that was when the three of us come on stage and we look at each other and we just jam and come up with different things. And every night it was like, who's going to outdo who?" He said it was just. Did you get that? Was that pretty much the thought for you as well, Joe?
Yeah, I mean that is the theme of G3. That's why I came up with G3, was because I missed that. I missed the camaraderie and the artistic challenge. Totally good-natured and supportive, but at the same time, there's nothing like you standing next to players that can do stuff that you can, and it elevates your talent. It really does. It brings stuff out of you, and it's the experience is heightened because you're in front of an audience, and you want to make a good show, and so every night you walk off stage and you go, "Wow, I think I'm a little bit better tonight than I was last night," because I was standing next to these other players that are really amazing. And one thing Phil probably didn't mention was that is great, that experience. But what the audience doesn't see is as soon as we walk off stage, every night one or two will turn to the other and say, "How did you do that? Show me how to do that." And we immediately start talking about the stuff that we improvise because we're surprising ourselves as well. And I love the G3s. That it's just so wonderful to be able to share, to challenge, to grow, every night and do it with an audience. They're part of it.
And I want to tell my listeners, and they've heard it from me before, and I'll repeat it again. I've been blessed to go to a lot of shows and meet incredible folks like yourself, Joe, and Phil, and John, and you name it, Billy Gibbons, and just been blessed. I'm thankful every day. And I say to everybody, and I said, I got to tell Joe, out of all the meet and greets that I've attended, that show in Albany was so coordinated and organized. And if you are a guitar person that loves the jam, to go on stage and meet with your techs, all three techs, and go over the guitars and ask whatever questions you want, and then meet with you guys, and you guys signed a bunch of posters, and then you took pictures. It was just so well done, and it doesn't happen like that all the time. So I wanted to applaud you for that, and I thought it was important that you know that from a fan aspect and a radio podcast guy. I thought it was great. The people walked out of the theater to go out to dinner, put their stuff in the car, and then to come back to see a great show, and everybody had a smile on their face.
Oh, that's great. That's really great to know. I have an amazing crew. A lot of the guys I've been working with for 20 plus years, and I couldn't do it without them. They're just amazing people. They make sure everyone's happy all the time.
Now, speaking of G3, because I just saw yesterday mention is a G4 in Vegas.
That's right, yeah. Well, we've been doing these immersive guitar camps for quite a few years, and this will be number 6, I think. And it's about 4 or 5 days. We take over a hotel, and we have the 3 other superstars join me. This time we've got Steve Morse and Steve Lukather, and the one and only Peter Frampton coming.
Wow.
They give clinics, and they give a concert performance, and they watch us jam together. And from early in the morning to late at night, there are all the other instructors, like Alex Skolnick, Corey Wong. It's amazing the diversity of players that we have, and they lead these smaller group clinics and jam sessions all throughout the day, and the people who come can wander around or just stick with one group of people and or break off with new people that they meet, and we give them facilities where they can jam together. It's a great exchange. It's a new way of doing music lessons, and it's obviously for guitar players.
Yeah, it's like the top-notch, rock camp, where, I mean, I remember John Petrucci, you could go to his house in Long Island for the weekend and crash and hang out and play. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mentioned before, for folks, if you're going, please go to check out Joe at Richfield Playhouse this Wednesday and Thursday. The tickets are going fast, and there's a VIP question and answer pre-show. Has there been a craziest question so far, Joe, that took you off guard?
They've all been really good. To tell you the truth, they have been really, some of them really personal, about meanings of songs. Of course, I get stuff about the, technicalities about guitars and amps and things like that. But the fans that come really have some great questions, all related to the writing of the songs. And that, I think, is the most important part of it, is because that's what sticks with you. The equipment changes and everybody learns the techniques, and so that's kind of stuff that goes by really fast. But the original material that the artists write, that's the kind of stuff you take with you, and it becomes the soundtrack of your life. So I'm always happy to answer questions about the deeper meanings of the songs.
Yeah, I mean, there's no job. I mean, honestly, there's nobody that to see you perform. I mean, you don't need lyrics because you're able to express it through your playing. You feel the melodics of the song, and I mean, once you know the songs, you're like, wow, yeah. And I remember I asked Eric Johnson. I got to meet Eric actually at the Richfield Playhouse, and I said, Eric, what makes an instrumental? And he says, you just know it. He did The Bridge of Sigh, and he says, some songs you just got this feeling that it doesn't need lyrics. Is that your take too, Joe?
I think that as a young kid, I noticed that I really gravitated towards the instrumental music that I was first exposed to, which was a combination of the great classical pieces and jazz, because my parents were jazz-age kids that, grew up, and so there was a lot of classical and jazz being played in the house. And because I was the youngest of 5 kids, I heard all the music that my older brother and my older sisters were playing all the time. And I inherited, the entire record collection as they grew up and left the house. And I just, for some reason, loved all the instrumental stuff because it seemed to give me the freedom to ascribe my personal meaning to the song. And I found that as I grew up and studied as a musician, I realized this is like a superpower that instrumentals have, because you're not burdened by the singer forcing you to think about this thing that they're telling you about through the words. You can take a song that maybe was written from a sad place and make it a hopeful song, or you can go even deeper and make it more and more complex. A good example is like in Moonlight Sonata. There's such a funny, twisted story behind that, and how Beethoven arrived at that. But in the end, it's a song that people all over the world still know today after 200 years. It's pretty remarkable, So that's the power of the instrumental. The lyrics, are very topical, and so topics get old, very often, unless you're talking about love, But
right.
So that's why I like those things. And so, yeah, I mean, Eric is a great musician. And, you mentioned John and all these stellar guitar players I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with over the years. And I'm actually hoping to get Eric and Steve Vai to join me for another G3 tour in 2024. So we're working on that right now, just like an anniversary for us.
Outstanding. Well, you can go to Joe's website, satriani.com, and check out everything that he's doing. But more importantly, we got to go check him out and sell out the Richfield Playhouse this Wednesday and Thursday. And the VIP QA, I mean, there's nothing, what an opportunity to ask Joe anything technical about the songwriting, about some of his ideas. I mean, it's all good. I think I got to, it's election time and the world is in such a big mess anymore, Joe, with this fighting and all this other crap. And I was saying to myself earlier, Joe's next album title can be The Politicians in Uranus, because that's all I want is to get credit for it on the liner notes if you go that route. That's all I care about.
Wow, Joe. What a title. That kind of rolls right off the tongue.
Doesn't it? I mean, come on. And I'm thinking, Halloween, I'm like, I don't think it's hard for you to dress up as Kenny tonight, or Kenny to dress. You throw a guitar on Kenny and he's Joe Satriani.
I've done that before.
Have you?
On the Chicken Foot tour, I made him go out as me for a couple of seconds.
And then he starts playing and people are like looking at him going, what happened? Well, Joe, I thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have.
Oh yes, always great to talk to you.
I'm looking forward to hanging out and seeing you Thursday night, and I'm hoping we can sell the place out. RichfieldPlayhouse.org or call 203-438-5795. Joe, my best to the guys. Safe travels as always.
Yes, and stay well and stay awesome, okay?
You got it, my friend. The one and only Joe Satriani, right here on WBXO Classic Rock Radio and Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged podcast.
Hey, this is Joe Satriani, and you're listening to Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged.